Hello, my dear friends. How are you doing? Hope you are having an amazing day and not having to deal with drama. Ready for new stories I have for you today? Let's go to the first one. And don't forget to listen to the end of the story, guys, to hear my insights. Enjoy the stories. And don't forget to like and subscribe. And of course, don't forget to leave a comment. I, 26 female, have been engaged to my fiance, Alex, 28 male, for about 6 months now. We've been together for 3 years, and honestly, he's the best thing that's ever happened to me. He's kind, supportive, loving, and we've built a wonderful life together. My family dynamic, on the other hand, is a little complicated. My biological mom passed away when I was really young, around 5 years old. My dad remarried my stepmom, Lisa, 48 female, when I was about 8. At the time, I was so excited to have a mother figure in my life again, but Lisa and I never really clicked the way I hoped we would. I always tried to keep the peace, but she was distant and cold with me growing up. To make things even more complicated, Lisa has a daughter from a previous relationship, Jenny, 27 female. Jenny and I are the same age, and honestly, we've always had a strained relationship. I think Lisa always preferred her own daughter, understandably, but it still hurt to feel like I was the outsider in my own family. Dad tried his best to make things fair between us, but Lisa's favoritism was always very apparent. Fast forward to a few years ago when I met Alex. We clicked instantly, and when I introduced him to my family, they seemed happy enough, at least on the surface. Alex is smart, funny, successful, and incredibly kind. He's the kind of guy who goes out of his way to make people feel comfortable, and I think that's where things started to go downhill with my stepmom. Lisa immediately took a liking to Alex. At first, I didn't think much of it. I thought it was a good thing that my stepmom and fiance got along. It wasn't until later that I realized Lisa's affection for Alex had crossed into uncomfortable territory. The compliments about how handsome he was became more frequent. She started making offhand comments like, "You're lucky. I'd kill to have a guy like that." And, "Jenny would be so lucky if she ever found someone like Alex." These comments didn't sit well with me, but I tried to brush them off. I mean, I wasn't going to make a scene over a few awkward comments, right? But things started getting weirder. Every time we were over at my dad's house for dinner or a family event, Lisa would make a big show of sitting next to Alex, laughing at every single thing he said like it was the funniest joke in the world. She'd ignore me completely and focus all her attention on him. And then Jenny started showing up a lot more frequently whenever Alex and I were at family gatherings. It was strange, because Jenny had never really been close with me before, and we rarely hung out as adults. Suddenly, she was always around, asking Alex about his job, his hobbies, and just generally being overly friendly with him. I shrugged it off at first, thinking maybe she was just trying to bond with him since he was going to be part of the family soon. But there was this nagging feeling in my gut that something was off. Alex, being his kind-hearted self, didn't notice anything unusual and chalked it up to them being friendly. I tried to give everyone the benefit of the doubt, even though the tension was mounting. Things came to a head about 3 months ago. I was planning my engagement party and inviting family members over to discuss details. Lisa, Jenny, my dad, and Alex were all there. At some point during the discussion, Lisa mentioned how marriage can be tricky, and how some people rush into things without thinking about the long-term consequences. She looked directly at Alex as she said this. Then, out of nowhere, Lisa starts talking about how she thinks relationships should be built on true compatibility, and how some people, again looking at Alex, settle for someone who isn't really their soulmate. She followed this up by suggesting that Alex and Jenny would make a perfect match. I was floored. I couldn't believe she was saying this, in front of me, during a conversation about my engagement party. I interrupted her, saying that Alex and I were perfectly happy together, and it was incredibly inappropriate to suggest otherwise. Lisa brushed it off like it was no big deal, saying she was just joking, and that I was being too sensitive. Alex looked visibly uncomfortable, but he didn't want to cause a scene, so he politely changed the subject. But I couldn't let it go. After the party planning session ended, I confronted Lisa privately and told her that what she said was out of line. She dismissed my concerns, saying I was overreacting and being insecure. She even implied that Jenny deserved a chance with Alex because she'd been single for so long and needed someone like him in her life. I was in shock. I told Alex about the conversation, and while he was supportive and reassured me that he was 100% committed to me, I could tell he was disturbed by the whole situation. Over the next few weeks, Lisa's behavior escalated. She started telling family members that Alex wasn't right for me and that we were rushing into things. She even went so far as suggesting that I wasn't good enough for him and that someone more compatible, i.e., Jenny, would be a better match. Lisa began spreading rumors to mutual family friends and even had the audacity to sit down with my dad to express her concerns about my engagement. My dad, bless his heart, tried to stay neutral, but eventually told her to back off. He knew Alex was good for me and wasn't buying into Lisa's manipulative tactics. But Lisa didn't stop. Every time I saw her, she'd make snide remarks, give me passive-aggressive compliments about how I was lucky Alex chose me, and imply that I wasn't good enough for him. The final straw came when I found out that Lisa had secretly invited Jenny to lunch with Alex under the pretense of discussing family stuff. Alex, being completely oblivious to her schemes, agreed to go because he didn't think much of it. It wasn't until Jenny started making inappropriate comments about how she wished she could find a guy just like him that Alex finally realized what was going on. He shut it down immediately and left. When Alex told me about the lunch, I was furious. I confronted Lisa one last time, telling her that her behavior was toxic and that she was not welcome at our wedding. That's when she finally snapped. She told me I was being selfish and stealing Alex away from someone who truly deserved him. Jenny, of course. I was done. I told her that if she couldn't support my relationship, she had no place in my life. The thing is that the house my dad and Lisa currently live in was actually left to me by my late mother. It's been in my family for generations, and it's always been understood that it would pass to me when I came of age. I haven't enforced any rights over the property because I wanted my dad to have a place to live, and I didn't want to disrupt things after my mom passed away. But after Lisa's continued manipulation and attempts to sabotage my relationship, I'd had enough. I told her to pack her things and leave my property. My dad, however, was furious. He told me I had no right to kick her out, and I was ruining his life by doing this. He said I went too far and that Lisa had only been looking out for what's best for the family. He's still living in the house, but the atmosphere is icy, and he's made it clear that he's deeply hurt by my actions. I feel torn. On one hand, I had to protect my relationship with Alex and set boundaries. On the other hand, I feel like I've put a massive strain on my relationship with my dad. Since then, the family has been divided. Some relatives think I did the right thing, standing up for myself and my relationship. Others think I went too far by kicking Lisa out, especially since she's been married to my dad for almost 2 decades. I don't regret defending my relationship, but part of me wonders if I could have handled it differently. Maybe I could have tried to mediate the situation instead of going nuclear. Am I the a-hole for kicking her out of the house? OP's stepmom crossed so many lines, and it's clear she's been scheming for a while. Suggesting that OP's fiance should be with her daughter? That's just straight up toxic and massively disrespectful. OP had every right to kick her out, especially since it's OP's house. It sounds like OP's dad is just upset he's stuck in the middle, but that doesn't mean OP should tolerate Lisa's behavior. OP did the right thing by setting firm boundaries. And now let's hear the community's opinion. Wow, this is a mess, but I'm going with everyone sucks here. Don't get me wrong, your stepmom was way out of line. Trying to break up your engagement for her daughter is beyond manipulative, and her behavior was downright cruel. But kicking her out of the house, knowing it would also hurt your dad, might have been too extreme. I get that it's your property, but now your dad is caught in the crossfire, and it sounds like your relationship with him is taking a hit. Maybe you could have found another way to resolve things without evicting her. Absolutely not the a-hole. Your stepmom was actively trying to sabotage your relationship and practically served your fiancé to her daughter on a silver platter. The fact that she invited Jenny to a secret lunch with Alex speaks volumes about her intentions. Honestly, you showed amazing restraint by not going off on her sooner. It's not easy to kick someone out, but she brought this on herself. Your dad might be upset now, but he should understand that Lisa's behavior was damaging to the entire family dynamic. Good for you for standing your ground. I can't believe your stepmom thought she could just replace you with Jenny like that. So disrespectful. She clearly has no boundaries and didn't care how her actions would affect you or your relationship with your dad. Not the a-hole at all, but I do feel bad for your dad being caught in the middle. Hopefully, he can see that this was Lisa's fault, not yours. You shouldn't feel guilty about kicking her out. If it was your mom's house and it passed to you, then you had every right to make that call. You didn't ruin anything. Lisa did. I have been dating my wife for 6 years, and we have been spiritually married for 2 years. We are not legally married, although at this point we are essentially common law. We are both high earners, both earning over $175K a year after tax. We purchased our home together, and we have agreed to split the finances 50-50. We paid for our wedding, honeymoon, everything 50-50. Although I did pay for the cost of our rings and her engagement ring, our mortgage payments were 50-50, and we comfortably own our home now. So much of our income goes to savings, investments, home improvements, and discretionary spending. Because of our incomes, we felt it would be best to keep our finances separate. We're both highly independent people, and both very career-driven. It's part of the reason I'm so attracted to her. She's amazing at what she does, and I'm so proud to be able to introduce her as my wife and explain what she does. Unfortunately, our first 2 years of marriage were hampered by virus and lockdowns. We would have loved to have traveled and saved up quite a bit in order to do this. A couple of months ago, we had a talk and decided it might be a good time to have kids, instead of continuously waiting for better or safer travel conditions. Without too serious discussion about it, we decided to stop using birth control and let things happen as they will. Yesterday, I came home and my wife was on the phone. She seemed like she was in a hurry to end her conversation and tried to evade my questions when I asked who she was talking to. It was her sister. They don't talk a lot, so that was a bit weird. She still works from home, so she continued to do some work. Then we had dinner and watched some news. Regular, pleasant evening. Then she says she wants to have a serious talk and asks me to make us some tea and meet her upstairs at her work desk. I make the tea, bring it up, and she starts talking financials. Her workplace allows for maternity leave for up to a year, but only provides 50% of her salary for up to 6 months. The remaining 6 months is unpaid. She was very direct and said that while her insurance would cover the vast majority of hospital-related costs during pregnancy and childbirth, taking a 6-month break from work would cost her almost $50,000, since her pay would be cut in half. She is asking me to compensate her for that $50,000. In addition to agreeing to split any related but unexpected costs to pregnancy and childbirth. Her stance is that she is doing something for us to start a family, but it is not a true 50-50 split if she is expected to take a financial hit for it, and I am not, given that our finances are separate. She had a printed list of expectations in terms of what she expected financially, listed some things her insurance may not cover. I see the logic in that, but I am really very turned off by this, because she is essentially asking me to pay her to have our child, or children. She saw my hesitation and just doubled down. While her idea is to return to work after 6 months, she says it's a real possibility that she may require more time and decide, as things happen, to take up to a year off. So she had another plan drafted for that. For the first 6 months, her work will give her 50% of her salary, and I would compensate her for the rest. But for the next 6 months, since her work would not compensate her, and because this loss is something she is doing for the family, she is comfortable splitting the loss of her income and only asking me for 50% of her salary instead of 100% for the 2nd-month period, and she will take the loss of 50% of her salary. The idea, I guess, is that both of us suffer half the loss of income for the second 6-month period. However, if she takes 7 to 11 months off, any months after the 6th can be prorated. She expressed that she anticipates and hopes to return to work in 6 months, but that she wants a contingency plan in the event that she requires a year off. She said that taking more than a year off is something she is very unlikely to do, as it would put her job at risk, but that she's open to exploring a third plan with me if I feel that it's necessary. There are also detailed notes about how she wants to keep housework split, with plans to start saving for both childcare and additional housekeeper expenses for at least the first 4 years. I kid you not, it's a 16-page binder that she handed me with detailed notes, some explanations, and lists of expenses. But the immediate and essential element here is that she wants me to pay her $50,000 to $100,000 to compensate her for the loss of her salary for 6 to 12 months as a result of her having our child. I really do not know how to process this. My first thought is shock, because despite our salaries, $50,000 to $100,000 is a lot to demand. The idea of a payment plan to have a child is just gross. And many couples manage to do this without paying their wives to have children. But then, I suppose most couples are married legally, and a loss to one person's income is a loss to everyone. So, in our situation, it makes logical sense. But there's something so transactional about it that puts a bad taste in my mouth. I didn't fight it or argue, and she's basically allowing me to think about it, but says if having kids is something we're going to do, she wants to write up an arrangement and go to a lawyer. Splitting the cost of that is also in the binder. What really hits me here is that she was talking to her sister on the same day she brings this up to me. Why on that day? On the same day she mentions this to me. They do not talk often. I am partially excited and scared that the timing of this means that she is actually currently pregnant, and that my response to her will have real consequences if I disagree with her. She has previously had an A, and only told me after the fact, almost a year later, because it was early into dating. I was shocked to learn that when I did, but supported her choice as it's her body, and at the time, having kids would have been the wrong decision for us. Still, the fact that she makes decisions like that so independently has me incredibly cautious right now. I checked trash cans and such for a pregnancy test, but didn't find anything. She also asked for tea instead of coffee, but maybe that is overthinking it, because she likes both. I want to ask her if she's pregnant, but we both had busy days today, and I was processing, and it didn't even occur to me on the day we first discussed this. Definitely a conversation to have, but I don't know whether that should influence my response here. OP, I totally get why you feel this is weird and transactional, especially when you put it like she wants me to pay her to have our baby. But come on, bro, that's purely a matter of semantics, and you're smart enough to know that, I hope, if you're pulling in that much money. It is 100% just as true to say you are asking her to pay money in opportunity lost by having your baby. Yes, this is all transactional and weird, but that's the arrangement you already have between you two. What she's pursuing is security and fairness. That's all. If you two have chosen to not marry and keep finances separate indefinitely, that's cool. That's your style. This is simply part of that. If you have a better suggestion that secures her financial stake in this arrangement, you should suggest that. As weird and transactional as it seems, this doesn't seem possible without getting some lawyers involved and putting some ink to agreements. Since your finances are separate, if you don't support her financially, you'd be asking her to take a loss of $100K plus to have your baby. She's just asking to split the costs. If you shared finances, the cost would already be split without needing extra documentation. It makes sense to me that she'd want something in writing since you aren't legally married and could really just leave if you felt like it. If you guys split up, she'd be out a huge amount of money. If you're not interested in getting married and merging finances, then this seems pretty fair to me. She cares about her financial stability and career and doesn't want to be the only one making sacrifices for this step in your lives. Honestly, I'm pretty impressed that she's prepared enough to know that this needs to be discussed ahead of time. My best friend, white, 25 female, and I, black, 26 female, have been friends for over 12 years. We used to be inseparable in high school, and our families were even friends. Honestly, we used to say we were sisters because we spent so much time together. We ended up going to the same college, but found our own friend groups, so we drifted apart a bit, but we were still besties. We were there for each other during our lowest moments, and I would like to think that our friendship is one of the things that kept us going during those dark days. She leaned on me heavily when her boyfriend, now fiance, broke up with her during sophomore year of college. They eventually got back together despite their toxic relationship, and I was happy for her. For context, we all went to high school together. He's 2 years older, and they started dating during his senior year. Fast forward to now. They've been dating for 10 years, I think, and they recently got engaged. I was super happy for them and even cried when she told me. The last time we hung out, I was asking about the wedding planning, and she seemed hesitant to say anything. I figured it just had to do with the nerves and stress. Well, turns out I was wrong. She was hesitant because her fiance doesn't want me in the bridal party because of something I said 6 years ago. He's a police officer and didn't like that I was vocal about my pro-abolition beliefs. I'm not exactly sure what I said, but whatever it was, offended him. I was shocked when she told me. Her fiance said it's ultimately her decision. She's clearly torn because she wants me there, but also doesn't want to cause problems. I felt like she wanted me to absolve her of her guilt, so I said it was okay if she doesn't want me in the wedding party, and that I would still love her and be there to celebrate their special day. I'm feeling so incredibly hurt and angry right now. On one hand, I want to apologize to her fiance, not because I want to be in the wedding, but because I don't want this to destroy my friendship with her. But on the other hand, apologizing feels like I'm compromising my morals just to make her fiance happy. I don't know what to do at this point. And to make matters worse, the other bridesmaids are all friends that I introduced her to, and they've only known her for half the time that we've known each other. I'm feeling so alone in this, and I can't help but wonder if this is one of those pivotal moments in a friendship that defines how we move forward. I'm not sure why I'm sharing this. I guess I just want to know if anyone else has experienced something similar and how they've navigated it. If my friend of many years chose to exclude me from her wedding party for the reasons you've stated, it would fundamentally change our relationship, especially given that there wasn't even a conversation or heads up about it. She can invite who she chooses, but I'm not sure I would even go to the wedding. She hesitated. She didn't even put up a fight for this friendship. I'd be over it. I think if she lets her fiancé get his way now, what else will he get his way with in regards to your friendship in the future? First, it's the wedding. Then, it's I don't want her at the baby shower, the housewarming, the Saturday get-together, etc. OP, I'd be truthful with your friend and tell her how you feel and just how much this hurts you. If she's really your best friend, she'll fight for you, and if not, you know where you stand. For some context, I'm 23 female, from a Latin American country, but my father is Russian and my great-maternal grandparents are German. So, to communicate with them, I had to learn German because they speak very little Spanish. So, therefore, in my house, I grew up speaking Spanish, Russian, and a little bit of German. But my accent when speaking English or Spanish is like my dad's. And when I met my husband's, 27 male, family, they thought it was funny. They used to correct me all the time when I said a word wrong, and I never thought they were making fun of me because they really seemed genuine. But over the years, I realized that they weren't. Last month, they came to visit us. We live in my home country, and they are from the US. And I had to do my best to speak English because they don't speak Spanish, Russian, or German, and they don't seem to want to try either. Which makes me furious because they get mad if my husband, he speaks Spanish perfectly, translates what I say for them. They want everyone to speak English when they are present, and I hate that. One of those days we were having dinner, including my family, and my grandma, my dad's mom, was speaking in Russian because she never speaks to me in Spanish. And my in-laws didn't like that because, according to them, it's rude to speak in a language that your guests don't understand. I told them that my family doesn't speak English fluently, and neither do I. But if they wanted to talk with us, I could translate for them. But they didn't like the idea, and my mother-in-law, 49 female, told me that after being married to an American for so long, we've been together for 4 years, I should know how to speak English fluently because our baby, I'm currently pregnant, must speak English. I told her I'm still learning and it's hard for me to learn English, but that I'm doing my best. And she had the nerve to tell me something like, "Then you're not as smart as we thought you were." And that made my blood boil because they are the typical ignorant Americans who think that the ducking world revolves around them and that their language is the only one you have to learn, or else you are an idiot. They only speak English, and somehow they are calling me and my family idiots for not speaking English fluently, knowing that every member of my family speaks at least 2 ducking languages. My husband told them that I'm actually very smart because I can speak 3 languages fluently and some English. And my father-in-law, 52 male, told him that English is really easy and that if I don't learn to speak it fluently, it's because I'm lazy. And when he said that, my husband didn't say anything. I was the one who had to stop him because he always has a crappy attitude where he doesn't give a damn about everything. And I hate that. That day, I got mad, and I said a few things to my in-laws that weren't very nice of me. But I was furious because I'm sick of hearing the same thing over and over again. Well, they got mad at my husband because they think I was rude, so they want me to apologize. And the worst part is that my husband, after thinking about it for several weeks, wants me to apologize. But I won't. And he's mad because he thinks I'm overreacting, and what his parents said is no big deal. To be honest, I don't know why he's acting like this, but I hate it. And I don't know what to do to stop him from insisting that I apologize. I don't think I'm being rude if I don't apologize. Or will I be if I don't? Everyone has a breaking point. You gave them a taste of their own medicine, and frankly, it's not your problem that they didn't like it much. As for your husband, you can tell him that if what they said is no big deal, then what you said can't possibly be a big deal either. You have been patient and polite to these idiots for much longer than I would. I would have just refused to speak English at all to them. You speak 3 languages, and they speak 1. You are the smarter person. Now for your husband. Sounds like he has been bullied by them into believing it is your place to apologize. This is not right. Don't apologize. I would tell your husband that the next time his rude, insulting parents come to visit, you will be out visiting friends, family, anyone, because you do not have to put up with their insults anymore. Girlfriend, time to go full scorched earth on your husband. You do not need to apologize. Your husband's family disrespected you in your home. On top of it, their comments were borderline racist. Tell your husband that his family does not get to dictate what language your child will speak. They do not get to demand what language your family speaks in your home. That yes, English is a very difficult language for non-English speaking folks. Tell your husband that if his family doesn't like it, they can duck right off, and if he thinks you need to apologize, he can duck right off too.